and welcome to this first video in my top 5 demographics video series that I'm going to do. I've said that I've been going to be doing this for a while now, and I'm finally getting around to it. So I'm going to be going over my top 5 series in each of the 4 demographics, with the Shoujo, Shonen, Seinen and Josei. And I'm going to be starting out doing Shoujo, and then I'm going to be doing one every day afterwards. So tomorrow will be Shonen, then Thursday will be Josei, and finally on Friday I'll be doing Seinen. So I'll just be talking about my 5 favourite manga that fall under each of these demographics, starting with Shoujo, which is probably my favourite demographic, and also the demographic that I probably read the most series from, so yeah. So anyway, let's get on to the video and go over my top 5 Shoujo manga. And starting out at number 5, I have Queen's Quality by Kyosuke Motomi. This includes QQ Super as well, obviously, because that one is the prequel and it's kind of mandatory that you read that one first to get the full story. Or else you're kind of just going to be coming into it at a random point, maybe. Queen's Quality is the main part of the series, which is why I put this here and not QQ Sweeper, but QQ Sweeper is counted as part of it. So Queen's Quality is like an action high school. Well, it's not really. The characters are in high school, but they're not in high school that often. At least not in the later volumes. Obviously, Fumi and Kyutaro, our main 2 characters, are high school students. But the main part of the story doesn't really take place in the high school. So it is it's an action romance, kind of a bit psychological as well, where we follow this girl, Fumi, who doesn't really have any memories of her past, and she is found sleeping in the school. It's one of the staff rooms or something, I think it is, and she's found sleeping there by Kyutaro, who is a boy that goes to the school. He's very quiet and introverted. He doesn't really like people, and he finds Fumi there, and Fumi is sucked into this place called the Inside, which is like the inside of people's minds. People have mind vaults, and they enter them through these doors into the inside. And what Kyutaro is, he's from a family of sweepers, and sweepers, their jobs is to go into the inside, the people's mind vaults, and just clean out bugs, which is infecting people with negative emotions and stuff like that. And not only does he clean out bugs in people's minds, he also cleans up the spaces around him, just normal cleaning, because it does keeping the space clean helps keep the bugs away and stuff like that. And Fumi kind of joins up with him and his family of sweepers, who is the Genbu clan, because they have the Suzaku, the Seiryu, the Genbu, the Byakko clans, and they're the Genbu clans, and Fumi joins up with the Genbu clan, and she also becomes a sweeper to try and kind of find out more about her past, and she learns about the presence of the Black Queen and the White Queen and stuff like that. It's very good. Yeah, I really like Kyosuke Motomi as an author. I like her unique artwork and the facial expressions she draws, and I like the characters she makes. That her characters are always good too. They're here's an example of the artwork. Obviously, technically, Queen's Quality Volume 1 is Volume 4 in the series, so the description I just gave is more of the description for QQ Sweeper, but obviously Queen's Quality follows on from that. But yeah, this is my number 5 favourite shoujo. My top 5 shoujo are pretty much my top 5 manga in general, bar one shonen that's in the top 5 of my manga in general. Yeah, really love Queen's Quality. Fantastic series, and I would recommend it. It does have a bit more of darker themes to it than some other series do. Obviously with the bugs and the mental health and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my number 5 favourite shoujo series. Moving on to my number 4. It's a very popular one. Everyone probably knows this one. And that is Yona of the Dawn. And by Mizuho Kusanagi. I love Yona of the Dawn. I have been reading it since the manga first started publishing in English. I've been reading Queen's Quality since Queen's Quality first came out. I've been reading Queen's Quality since QQ Sweeper was all out at the time, but Queen's Quality hadn't come out yet when I started reading that one. But yeah, I watched the anime for Yona first, and I really liked it, and the manga at the time wasn't out, but so as soon as it started coming out in English, I started picking it up. Because I really like the anime, and of course the manga's better, because it obviously continues past where the anime ends. Hopefully someday we might get extra seasons of that, but I'm not holding out hope for it. So yeah, Yona of the Dawn is a fantasy shoujo adventure series following Princess Yona of the Kingdom of Kyoka. And she's kind of spoiled, she's kind of selfish, and she has this bodyguard called Hack, and he protects her and stuff. And anyway, she has this cousin called Suwon who she has feelings for, and she wants to confess to him, but on the day she goes to confess her feelings to Suwon, she finds that Suwon has actually murdered her father, and now he's coming for her. So her and Hack has to run from the palace and get away. And it's at that point, after leaving the palace, she learns that these 4 dragon warriors that she has to track down. And the majority of the beginning of the series is about tracking down those 4 dragon warriors. So yeah, we have a big group of found family. We have Yona and Hack, and then Yoon, who was he's the healer, and then with the 4 dragons. And yeah, Yona of the Dawn is great. Obviously, most people are gonna know what this is. It's a very popular one. Yeah, when did this volume first come out? Does it say in the front, or does it say in the back? To the advertisement. 2016 it first came out. 8 years ago? 8 years ago it came out. So I would have been 20 when I started reading the series. But yeah, everyone's probably familiar with Yona of the Dawn. It's great. Yona is a great character. She goes from being the selfish, pampered princess to being able to stand on her own and fight for her kingdom, and becomes a kinder, better person. And obviously everyone loves Hack. And the dragons too. My favourite of the dragons is Zeno, the yellow dragon. Yona also has some great action scenes. It has, although it's more on the back burner, it also has a good romance. So yeah, Yona has everything. It's great. It's popular for a reason, and it's my number 4 favourite shoujo series. And next we're moving on to number 3. And my number 3 is another Kyosuke Motomi work, and that is Denki Daisy. And Denki Daisy is my 3rd favourite shoujo. I binged this. I read this after QQ Sweeper. The reason I read this was because I like QQ Sweeper so much. So when I started reading this, Denki Daisy was a complete series, so I was basically buying the volumes 4 volumes at a time, finishing them, buying the next 4 volumes, finishing them, reading the next 4 volumes. So I binged the series when I first started reading it. And Denki Daisy is this one's a high school romance with thriller sort of elements to it, and some action elements to it. I don't really know how to describe it. But yeah, it's more than just a high school romance. It is an age gap though. Teru, our main girl, is 16. She's in high school, and Kurosaki here, who is the love interest, is 24. So if you're not into age gaps, then maybe give this one a miss. But out of all the age gaps I've read, this one is my favourite. And like Kurosaki and Teru never felt like anything other than like romantic interests of each other. Because, you know, sometimes when you read an age gap, like with Living Room Matsunaga-san, for example, they can feel a bit more like a parental figure or like an older sibling-like figure. But with this one, at least to me, it never felt like that. They always felt like romantic partners. You know, I very love Denki Daisy. We followed Teru, who, when she was little, her parents died, so she was raised by her older brother, whatever his name was. I'm terrible with names. It doesn't even say. Well, when she was aged, she was raised by her older brother after the death of her parents. And then, I think it's when she was in middle school, or was it not that long ago? Yeah, it was about maybe a year before the beginning of the series, something like that. Teru's older brother dies from stomach cancer, and he leaves her with this phone. And on this phone, there is a contact called Daisy. It's like, if you ever need anything, if you're ever alone, if you ever need help, contact Daisy and he'll be there for you. He'll help you out. And Daisy is like this famous hacker who is her brother knew, obviously. And then, obviously, so whenever she's feeling down or anything, she'll give Daisy a message, and Daisy will message her back. And like, Daisy's very kind, and she forms this like attachment to him. And then she goes, one day while she's at school, she breaks a window, and the school janitor, Kurosaki, was like, you're gonna have to pay me back for that now. And so she has to like help him out around the school with his janitorial work in order to like pay him back for the window. And I'm gonna give a slight spoiler here. It's not a big spoiler because you, as the reader, find this out in the first volume. Teru as a character doesn't find this out until later on, but you as a reader know by the end of the first volume, and it's pretty obvious to begin with, and that is Daisy and Kurosaki are the same person. But they act completely different, because Daisy acts very kind and gentle with her, whereas Kurosaki's more mean and like bosses her around and stuff. So they are the same person, they just don't act like it. But that is a spoiler, but not very much of one, because it's pretty obvious from the start that they're the same person, and also you find out in the first volume. But yeah, Daisy is a hacker, and there is stuff that went on in Daisy's past, and stuff that her brother was also involved in, that involves like hacking. And then they're looking, these people show up wanting Teru's phone, and they trash her house trying to find her phone, because her phone, they think, has information in it to something that they want. So like these people from these bad people from these organizations that are showing up looking for her phone, thinking that there's a crew in there to find this thing that they're after. And obviously Daisy has to protect her from that, obviously Kurosaki, and like get to the bottom of what this thing they're after is, and why they're after it, and what it has to do with her brother and stuff like that. It is very good, and I would recommend it. Again, it's Kyosuke Motomi, so it has that Kyosuke Motomi art style, which I like, and I just really like Kyosuke Motomi's stories too. She has done a shorter one too called Beastmaster, which is only 2 volumes, but that one isn't her best work, but obviously it is only 2 volumes. But I know Queen's Courtier is ending soon. I think it's only got like 5-6 chapters left, something like that. I know it's ending very soon. So I hope once Queen's Courtier ends, she does pick up another series and start writing a new series. And I do hope if she does, that new series will get translated into English. Yeah, Denki Daisy is great. Yeah, and I also really like Kyosuke Motomi's characters. And next, my number 2 favourite shoujo is Library Wars. So far, these have all been Viz Media series. The last one isn't Viz Media. The Library Wars is by Kiro Yumi, with the original novel being by Hiro Akigawa. So Hiro Akigawa's novel has 2 manga adaptations. This one, which is the 15-volume long shoujo adaptation, which also has a 12-volume long sequel, which never got released in English. But the sequel is more about slice of life stuff after the end of the story. I don't know if that part's based off the novel or not. And then there's also a 2-volume long shonen adaptation called Library Wars Spitfire, which only lasted for 2 volumes, but I haven't read that one. There's also a anime adaptation for this and an animated film as well, which does complete the story, but it does miss some stuff out. And the art style in the anime doesn't match the manga. And there's also 2 live-action film adaptations, which I haven't seen. But I've heard the live-actions are supposed to be better than the anime. I just haven't been able to find anywhere to watch them. So, Library Wars is like an action, romance, military series. It follows... it takes place in this world, which is basically our world, just in the future, where media and books especially are being censored and banned throughout the country, and by this company called the Media Betterment Committee, and they think that all media should be censored and that it shouldn't be read in its original way. And then we have this task force called the Library Task Force, who's a military group whose job it is to take books from shops and take books that are being banned and bring them into their library where they can be read uncensored in their original intended format. And obviously in this library nothing is banned, anyone can come and read what they want there. And when Iku was a little girl, she wasn't, she was a teenager. When Iku was a teenager, I think she was in middle school, possibly high school, she was trying to buy this book of fairy tales that she loved as a child in the shop, and the Media Betterment Committee came in and tried to take the book off her because they wanted to ban it. And then she's saved by this member of the Library Task Force who takes the book back from them and gives it to her. And ever since, she's admired them and she wants to be a member and look for her prince who saved her. So at the age of 23, this series is all adults, they're not teenagers. At the age of 23, Iku joins the Library Task Force under Instructor Dojo, who is a commanding officer, and he is 26. And she is now training to be a part of the Library Task Force. Again, I love the characters in the series. I think the characters are so good. I also love the story and the premise behind protecting these books. Also, this is a full-on war for books. They have actual battles, not your typical shonen superpower over the top battles, actual war battles that you would kind of see in real life, with the protective shields and the guns and stuff. So yeah, they're having actual battles, and they have an actual military unit fighting to protect these books in this world. And you do see the actual fights. They are there. And they have the slice of life moments in the library, and then you have the romance between Iku and Dojo. There's also side romances and stuff which are very good. But yeah, the artwork for the manga is a lot better than the artwork for the anime. And yeah, I adore this series a lot. I really like the romance as well. It starts off with them not getting on. They kind of don't hate each other, but they dislike each other quite a bit at the beginning, but they kind of grow closer throughout the series, and it's very good. And Dojo is also shorter than Iku, so he's a short king. So Rival Wars, it's very good. If you can track the series down, because it is out of print. I do believe Denki Daisy, though hard to find, is still in print. I think it is getting... Has Denki Daisy had reprints? I'm not sure, but I do believe it is in print. And I know Yona and Queen's Quality definitely are, but I'm not 100% sure about Denki Daisy, but this one is definitely out of print. We haven't had a reprint of Rival Wars in ages. And the way I found Rival Wars was at a convention called SunnyCon in Newcastle. And they had a manga store there, and they were selling the complete set of Rival Wars 1 to 15 as like a bundle. I think it was like £80 or something. It wasn't too much. And I had never heard of the series before, but I looked at the covers. I flipped through the first volume, and I was like, I'm going to take a chance on the series because it does sound interesting, and I'm glad I did, because it's now my second favourite shoujo ever. It's very good. I would recommend it. And now, for my favourite shoujo, my number one favourite manga of all time in general. And it's an obvious one if you've been watching me for a while. And that is Fruits Basket, which is like, it's a common choice. I know most people who are into shoujo like Fruits Basket, but it's popular for a reason, because this series is bloody good. This is by Natsuki Takuya. I love Fruits Basket. I love the characters, the romance, the like undertones of what the series is actually about. Because at its surface, Fruits Basket is a high school romance with supernatural elements, but underneath it is a story about familial trauma and getting over like years worth of trauma that has been like bred into generations of this family. And it is very good. Right, our main character Toru loses her mother in an accident. She was a single mother. She lost her dad when she was little. And she moves in with her grandfather, but her grandfather's family moves in and whilst the house has been renovated, and Toru, they don't get on. So Toru moves out. She tells her grandfather she's going to live with a friend until the renovations are complete, and she ends up living in a tent in the woods. But this woods is in the property of the Soma family, which is like more of a clan than a family, maybe. Because I don't think, although they're all in the Soma family, I don't think they're all technically related, because I think it's more of a clan situation than a family situation. So they all call each other cousins, but I don't know if they're actually cousins. At least not first cousins, anyway. And she's found by the Soma family, and she moves into this house with Shigure, Kyo, and Yuki. And she finds out the Soma family have 12 members of the family who are cursed by the 13 members of the family who are cursed by the Chinese zodiac spirits. So when they're hugged by the opposite sex, or when they're under stress, they turn into an animal of the Chinese zodiac. And Yuki's the rat, and Kyo's the cat, and Shigure's the dog. But because the cat isn't technically a part of the zodiac, because it was left out, because the rat lied to it about the day of the banquet, which is an actual Chinese folk tale about the cat not being in the zodiac. It's not something that Fruits Basket... Oops, I think I put the flash on. That's not something that Fruits Basket made up. That is an actual story. Fruits Basket just takes that premise. And because he's the cat, he's kind of left out. He's not considered part of the family, maybe. And so he wants to beat Yuki, because if he beats Yuki, he can become part of the family. And obviously Toru starts living with them and meeting all the zodiac members and becoming kind of a bit like a mother to them and helping them out with their problems and the curse and stuff. And it's very good, but Toru kind of has her own trauma too, which revolving around her parents' death and her mother's death, which she kind of doesn't really address. She's kind of more focused on the other people's trauma rather than her own. But yeah, it's very good. I love Fruits Basket, and it's popular for a reason. It's fantastic. it is old. Obviously, some parts of it are a bit dated because it did come out in the 90s, but I love it all. I can't fault Fruits Basket. I love the anime too. The new anime, the 2019 one was great. Season 3 did obviously leave out some stuff, but it's stuff that is kind of important, especially the Kakeru stuff, but it's still a very good adaptation, and yeah, the series is great. It really is. The art style changes because of an injury that the author had to her hands, but I actually prefer the newer art style over the older one, but which is like, I think, a controversial opinion. I think most people prefer the older art style, but I do like her newer art style, which she has in the later volumes more than the art style she has in the earlier volumes. But yeah, I just adore Fruits Basket. It's my favourite manga ever, not just shoujo, and yeah, I love it. Anyway, that was my top 5 shoujo manga. I hope you enjoyed this video, and what are your top 5 shoujo? Do you share any of your top 5 with me? Are they all completely different? Let me know down below in the comments. I would like to know. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you tomorrow for my top 5 shonen manga.